Welcome to Chris's Bread. Today we're gonna learn what is gluten. Gluten is protein in some grains like a whole wheat, rye, and barley, and um, it is combination of glutenin and gliadin. To show what is exactly gluten is look like, I made a little experiment just mixing water and flour. I'm using unbleached bread flour and home ground whole wheat flour. So the whole wheat flour is a little different than a store-bought because you can see the bran, wheat bran. Um, to make the dough nice and elastic, knead it by hand for a few minutes, and it's nice and stretchy and elastic and a little bit shiny. And then we're gonna wash up all the starch and we're gonna left with gluten. Some grains have more gluten, some less. For example, whole wheat flour has 12 to 14% gluten, and rye up to 16%, and barley 5 to 8%, and the newer flour combination of rye and barley called triticale also have gluten, and some oat flours have a gluten too. Gluten is responsible for the bread texture, the elasticity, the chewiness, because it stretches and traps all those airs, gives airy, fluffy, soft, chewy bread. Some flour have a less gluten, like a cake flour has least amount of gluten, so gives that flaky, versus some bread has more bread flour would have more gluten in it. And then there are also some store sells gluten flour is just pure gluten. You can add it to some of the bread you're making that has flour has less gluten in it. So once you wash off all the starches, and here's the whole wheat flour home ground, you can see the wheat bran, and the starch is the same starch. It just looks colors looks a little bit darker, but this is what's left of. It's rubbery, stretchy, glue-like texture. This is the gluten. There you go. That's the gluten. I'm just showing the brand. Some people may be sensitive to gluten. When they eat product with gluten, they might bloat and have some symptoms. Some people may be allergic to gluten, have allergic reactions, and some people may have a celiac disease that they advise not to eat things with the gluten. So once we take out the gluten, and I'm just gonna wipe up some of the excess water, and I'm gonna show you how stretchy this is. When I teach bread flour lessons, I often say knead very well until dough is elastic and stretchy and pass window pane test, and that's where we trying to build this gluten so the bread dough can trap those airs and make nice airy bread. So it's shiny, it stretches, it's elastic, and it's like a glue. So the whole wheat flour looks like a little bit darker color, but it's exactly the same gluten. So if you can put air into it and blow it, it's gonna have it's like a balloon. It contains the air, and that's how gluten looks like. Now you know what gluten is.